Hello and welcome back to Gaming 101 with Mr. Berger. Now tonight we're going to go ahead and go over this Xbow Cycle deck. It's a pretty awesome deck, it's pretty cheap, it's pretty easy to pick up, and it's a pretty fun archetype. I don't play Siege a whole lot, but I do like to play it from time to time. So why don't I run a couple replays here in the background while I talk about each card. Let's take a look at the deck here in the top left. While I was looking at YouTube, and, as I mentioned in previous videos, I watched Clash with Ash a lot, and he showcased this deck. It's this Xbow Cycle deck that it's been around for a while. There's always minor variations of it, but this is a current one that's decent for a number of reasons. And let's talk about those reasons by talking about each card. So first thing is skeletons. You got your skeletons on the top left there. Now, skeletons are a cycle card. You got your two cycle cards actually back to back on our top left deck here. Your Ice Spirit and your skeletons. Now, skeletons you could probably replace with anything that costs 1 or 2. I was running bats before this, and I really like bats a lot in the place of skeletons, but I switched back to skeletons because bats were nerfed in the patch that just came out earlier today. Now, Ice Spirit, on the other hand, I like him in almost all cycle decks. So, well, you could replace skeletons with something like, I don't know, bats or goblins or spear goblins even, or maybe even like guards if you wanted to make your deck a little bit more expensive. I wouldn't replace the Ice Spirit with anything. I would definitely keep the Ice Spirit in this deck. If you really like, if you don't have him, or, well, you probably would have him, but if you don't, or you just don't like playing him, then just replace him with something else that's really cheap, because you want that cheap cycle roll. Next, you have the archers. Now, I really like me some archers. Archers are a really awesome support card. You could definitely replace them with just about any other range support card. Ice Wizard only costs 3, and he plays a very similar role. Musketeer could probably fit in there as well, but she's a little bit more expensive, and there's only one of her. You could probably toss in like an E-Wiz or something like that, too. Archers are like the easiest to get. You get them, at really low rating, and they're easy to level up, and they're just really strong in the meta. They've been a pretty staple card from the beginning of the game. So I would definitely recommend running archers. But of course, if you want to toss a little flare in your deck, switch it up. Put like an E-Wiz or something in there. E-Wiz is a lot of fun to play. Let's see. Next, you got the Knight. Now, the Knight's obvious replacement is always going to be the Ice Golem. I like Ice Golem. I like him a lot. I'm a little bit more comfortable with Knight. I just feel like he's a little bit better. He just plays that role a little bit better. Even though the role's slightly different, the idea is to have a cheap mini tank. Something that's relatively beefy. You can use it on defense, and you can use it as counter push. You can use it as support as well on a counter push. Now, well, the Ice Golem has the potential to, have that death damage and clear out swarms and stuff. The Knight is really good because his actual DPS is pretty decent, and he'll target troops, whereas the Ice Golem only targets buildings. So you can do funny things with the Ice Golem, like kite P.E.K.K.A.s across the map and stuff like that. But with the Knight, you can use it to counter things really well. Just any like Musketeer, anything that they put at the bridge, a Witch, either of the Witches, the Witch or the Night Witch, Wizard, any of the support troops, you put it behind their tank and he counters them really well. The Knight and the Archers go together very well on defense, and that also pairs their third card that would go with them really well would be the Tornado, which I'm not running in this deck, but you could probably toss it in there in the place of one of your other spells if you wanted to. Actually, speaking of the Tornado, you might want to replace it with the Tesla, which is our next card. I'm running Tesla because that's what I saw for the current deck that was being showcased online on a few channels and on a few websites and things like that. And the reason that Tesla is really good right now is because when it was buffed, not in the last patch, but like a patch or two ago, what happened, if I recall correctly, is it got like a minor damage increase, but what that allowed it to do is make it so that it could one-shot minions and goblins of the same level. Now, that might not be too significant, but it was significant enough to bring it back into the meta. You definitely see it in a lot of places now. And I mean, it has an overall damage increase, which just makes it more powerful against anything that it doesn't instantly kill anyway. Against like a support card or a hog or something, it'll do even more damage. So Tesla's pretty good right now. And of course, Tesla's really useful against spells, because when it's not being attacked, similar to a Royal Ghost, it won't go invisible, but it'll hide under the ground. And so spells and things like that won't target it, or won't hit it rather, if they try to target it with the spells. So if they try to hit like your Tesla and your tower with a fireball, as long as your Tesla's not above ground because it's shooting at something, then the fireball won't do any damage to it. Now let's actually talk about the log before the Xbow, because the Xbow is our main card in this deck. The log's obvious replacement would be the Zap. Now the fireball goes in there too, and that's also replaceable with a number of spells. The obvious replacement for the fireball would be the poison, which is really good in the current meta. My theory behind running fireball in this deck is that it's a little bit better to protect your Xbow. The poison, is great, it does damage over time, so it's great like for clearing the path. That skeleton army that just dropped in the replay, I took it out with a log. A poison would have, tore through it too. So if you have like a hog or a giant, any sort of beatdown or any, hog push decks, poison would be really good because it clears a path for your win condition. But in this case, your win condition is just sitting on your side of the base, on your side of the arena rather. And so if you have that fireball and they place something down right on their side of the bridge, you can just fireball it right away. So that is my theory as to why you would want to run fireball. Now as far as log goes, I'm not too sure why they run log. You could definitely replace it with zap. Zap's great in the current meta. Maybe it's a similar thing. It's just to like, I just used it right there in the replay too. I use it to counter swarm cards, which they're probably going to try to use to counter your Xbow. So we covered our 2 spells and just about every other card except our main win condition. Now the Xbow itself is an awesome card. I do like Xbow, I do like Mortar. I just kind of get bored of Siege easily, so I don't play them too much. But every once in a while, a Siege deck will pop up that I really like. So I thought I'd showcase this one. There's one a little while back that ran Goblin Hut and the Barbarian Hut. I think those were the 2. It was 2 spawner decks. It was definitely Barbarian Hut and something else. And it also ran an Xbow. Yeah, it was Goblin Hut, Barbarian Hut, and Xbow. And it was a lot of fun because you'd slowly build up this swarm, and then in double time, when they weren't expecting it, you'd plop down this Xbow, and it would just do work. It was pretty amazing. You'd always get a wow. Anyway, the Xbow is really effective because it can shoot the enemy's tower from your side of the arena. So as you've seen in the replays that I'm playing here, you just kind of plop it on your side. Let's see what I do here in a second. I'm actually going to use it as my first card, which is something I don't normally do, because you don't always want to reveal what your win condition is right away. You kind of want to bait out their counters normally, actually. But since I'm playing on my alt account here, and it's in, a little bit lower arena, and my cards are over leveled as I explained in a previous video, then I'm not afraid to just have some fun and place the Xbow right at the bridge there. So normally you cycle out a little bit, wait to see what they have, wait to see what they're going to use to counter your stuff, and try to play around that. But of course, if you know that you're in a situation similar to mine, you can kind of have some fun with it, and just plop that Xbow down right away. Xbow can be used on defense as well. I don't always use it on defense. In fact, I often don't, but it has the potential to, depending on what you're going up against. Now, you have the Tesla in this particular deck, so you might not need to use Xbow on defense quite as often. You might want to save it for offense as your win condition. But if it's what's in your hand, or if you're just trying to, if you've gotten one tower down and you're trying to defend, it's not bad to plop it right in the middle of your side of the arena, similar to where you'd put like a furnace or an inferno tower just to play defense. So the idea is you put that Xbow at the bridge like so, and then you put your support right in front of it, like the knight. See, I put the knight right in front of it, so as soon as he puts down his battle ram or whatever he might have, I've got the knight and the skeletons and the archer all to support that Xbow, and it takes out a bunch of the tower's health. So that's pretty much all the cards. What I want to do next, after we finish this replay, is play through a couple of games. So I'm probably not going to do too well because I got the pressure of the camera rolling, but let's see how it goes. Why don't I walk us through the rest of this replay? So at this point I've taken out the right tower. It's pretty much just a matter of playing defense. Why don't I go ahead and double time it? There's no reason for us to sit here and watch this whole replay when I can jump into a real match. So I got amazing value there with the fireball because I hit both his king tower and his princess tower and the elixir collector. But of course he baited out my fireball and then I wasn't able to use it on the 3 musketeers. Regardless, he placed his 3 musketeers right at the bridge, which is a pretty poor spot to place them because I was able to counter it really easy with some cheap cycle cards. And I get a full 3 crown win in at the last second. So again, these are matches that I pick out, of course, that make me look good, that I win with because I'm trying to showcase the deck. I'm not that great of a player. I just really like theory crafting and strategizing and sharing strategies with people. So let's see how I do when we jump into some real matches here. Alright, I'm going to give them a good luck, because I like saying good luck, you know, thumbs up and being positive like that. Not being an annoying little BMer. I'll toss this Ice Spirit just for the sake of cycle, and for the sake of baiting out whatever he might have. At this point I'm just kind of cycling stuff out in the back. Probably not the best idea, but ooh, I hit the knight too, so that actually worked out alright. It gave me a little bit more value for that fireball. Oh, look at that. He also has an Xbow. Now, did I place this Tesla close enough? I feel like I placed it just too far away so that it won't hit the Xbow. I was wrong. It's shooting the Xbow. That's awesome. Now, he's going to have a right here when I place down my Xbow. Now, usually I wait till I have about 3 elixirs so I can put a knight right in front of it to counter whatever he puts. In this case, it's minions. Now, of course, the knight can't hit the minions, but it does buy me a few seconds to tank. Now, he just rocketed my Xbow and missed it. Oh my goodness, poor guy. I would emote that, but I don't want to make him feel bad. I don't want to be, you know, mean or rude or anything like that. I'm trying to keep it family friendly. I could have thrown in a much worse word there, but, you know, I want to extend my audience to all ages if possible. Alright. Let's put these archers in the back here. I love 2 archers in the back. You got one going left, one going right. If your opponent doesn't react, then they're each going to get a little bit of chip damage off, which is good. Now I'll put my Xbow over here to kind of counter his. See, the archer on the right there is going to get a couple shots off on his tower, which is decent, you know? Decent! This is my lame Bubbles impression. I could probably do a better one. Alright, archer. This archer might not get off any shots, yeah, because she was already injured, so she doesn't get far enough to shoot off her 1 or 2 arrows. I will put knight in the back. Knight's one of my favorite cards, that's why I have him on the top right of my screen here, my OBS layout. So at this point I'm pretty much just cycling back into Xbow. There's a few places that you can place the Xbow. I switch it up depending on the circumstance. I see a lot of people place it not where I just put it, but actually kind of right in front of the bridge. I'm not too sure exactly why the reason that is. I'm sure you could look it up and find out exactly why. But again, my theory is because then you can put your knight or something right in front of it and support it right away. Because they're obviously going to have to plop something down to counter your Xbow. If they don't, then they know that your Xbow is going to do work. So you preemptively put your knight right here at the bridge like I just did right there, and it pretty much tanks for the Xbow. Then you can always put all your support, your archers, or whatever else you might be running behind that, cycle through with skeletons. Now at this point I've definitely got a big advantage. I've only got to get his tower down a few more shots. You know, in the previous Xbow Cycle deck that I was running, I was actually running Rocket, and I could have just rocketed the tower, but I don't run that in this deck. I was able to finish it off with a log. That fireball wasn't even necessary. He gave me a good game. Thanks. Good game. Well played. Alright. So, let's get another chest rolling here. Open this one, see what I get. Anything great? No, nothing too awesome. New quest, collect my reward. Look what I got waiting for me. Legendary King's chest. I can't wait to open that up. It's new. It's the first time I've seen one of those in the quest rewards. Let's go ahead and do like 1 or 2 more matches just to showcase this deck. And let's see if I can't get into one where I actually lose. Keep in mind, guys, these games are going to be probably imbalanced, as I mentioned in a previous video, because I purposely keep this account a little bit lower rating than it should be in order to have good, fun, easygoing, relaxing games. Whereas my main account, I definitely push that as hard as I can. Now this guy's got a level 8 giant, level 11 bomber. He might give me a run for my money. Those are some pretty decent cards, decently leveled cards for this arena. So I'm going to wait till they cross and target something else. Now there we go. Ooh, that's scary. Ooh, but I can log it. Take out that clone. Oh yeah, he got me. Well, the game isn't over yet. Let's see how it goes. I actually got a really good amount of damage off on his right tower, so I feel like I still have some potential. Now I also know what he has in store. Clone can be really good, but as I explained in my video on the Golem clone, it's a very niche spell, so it only works well in certain decks. Now that I know that he has it, I'll be a little bit more ready for it. So it's very effective like the first time you use it if you can pull it off properly. but now I'll be much more prepared for it. Now the Tesla's great for countering hogs. Any tower, any like defensive tower is a good answer for hogs. So Tesla's a perfect example of that. It costs 4, I believe, which is the same cost as a hog. Alright, I'm going to try to get this Xbow down. That probably wasn't the best move because, yeah, see, he's just going to plop something right here. It did lock onto his support though, so as soon as that wizard dies, I'll put my units down to counter his giant. Alright, so what I want to do here is with the knight, I want to take out the support in the back. Because the support, you know, the bomber and the ice wizard are going to do way more damage than the giant itself, and they're a lot easier to kill. So I put my counter units in the back there to take out his support. Now I'm going to try to build up a bit of a push here, keep fireballing his tower to chip away at his witch and the tower. Okay, the log hit. I was worried that it was going to miss. Got the Tesla to answer for the hog. Alright, let's see if I can kill this thing with a knight and get a counter push going here. I've only got about 30 seconds left. I might as well be able to cycle out fireballs and things like that. That might be a safer bet, honestly. Log and fireball. Yeah, I might be able to make it in time with that. Let's see. One more log and one more fireball will do it. Okay, I'm still in the game, but now I've got to answer all this stuff. Oh no, he's gonna get me. That was a bad idea. Now I'm just gonna get 3 crowns. And there goes that clone. I was a little bit more ready for it this time with the log. I might be able to pull off a defense here at the last second, but if he has any spells, pretty much anything, he'll just be able to bait. Yeah, he'll be able to cycle me out with his log. Anyway, even though I lost here, this was an awesome example of the deck. I feel like I displayed some of the huge potential of it. You know, I just kind of got caught over, or, you know, pretty much plowed through right away that first tower by that clone spell that I wasn't ready for, and I just wasn't able to come back from it. And these Xbow decks are often, you know, they're decided by like 1 or 2 crowns. So you're often going to get draws, or you know, lose or win by just 1 crown. It might be 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever. So that was definitely a case where I lost right away, and that just, you know, snowballed into a bad match. But anyway, it happens to all of us. We all have bad games. So let's jump into another match here and see how it goes. This will be the last one for this video because I don't want to sit here playing and recording all night. I just wanted to showcase this deck a little bit. So let's play a little bit smarter this time. I was being cocky that game and put the Xbow down right away. I'm going to cycle archers in the back. I don't like to bleed elixir. I like to spend my elixir. Now, it's pretty good trade-off here to fireball the tower and the witch. It'll bring it down to almost dead. I could log it to finish it off. Why don't I do that so that his giant skeleton has no support? And of course the log takes out all those skeletons too. Now, giant skeleton is pretty easy to distract and counter. Of course, he was supported by that baby dragon, so I just kind of got to kite him all around the map here. Put a Tesla down to answer to those guards. That'll take good care of them. Okay, so at this point, I'm just hanging tight. I want to find out more about what he has. I know he's got that witch, and I know he's got that giant skeleton. Giant skeleton's only level 3, so it's not a big threat. Regardless, that bomb really hurts no matter what level it is, so I don't want to let it touch my tower. I'm going to put the Xbow right at the bridge here. I'm going to preemptively put a knight in front of it because he's bound to put something to counter. He puts that witch in the back. My Xbow actually locked onto the tower, so that's really good for me. It looks like he zapped or something because it switched over. I didn't quite catch it, but he must have done a zap or something there to make my Xbow untarget the tower and switch over to his lumberjack. I used my fireball just to clear up that witch. Oh, I must have missed the baby dragon. That was a bad play on my part. So air units are an interesting thing when it comes to hitting them with spells. This is a really useful piece of advice I probably should have included in a previous video. But as far as air units go, you actually want to target where their shadow is, because that's kind of where they are relative to spells. So you see where their shadow is, look at the square that it's over, that it's hovering on top of, and that's where the unit actually is. So for air units, that'll help you out when you want to hit them, especially with like a rocket or a fireball or something that requires some precision like that. Alright, I gotta play defense here for sure. Now I believe if the Tesla is underground and the Giant Skeleton's bomb blows up next to him, or next to it rather, then it won't take any damage, because you know it'll be underground, it won't take that bomb hit. Alright, let's see if I can get my Xbow going off here. I need to, you know, get the ball rolling. I placed it a little bit too close, that was bad on my part, but that's okay. Let's see if I can make do regardless. I'm just plopping down support at the bridge here, trying to cycle back out. I can probably get another Xbow down here, see if I can get 2 out at once. Maybe not the best play, I might have just wanted to support that one more, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to put a Tesla just in the back here, just to kind of cycle out, as well as play a little bit of extra defense on the Xbow. Well, the Xbow locked onto the enemy tower, which is great for me. He interrupted it again there, so it switched over to the enemy's knight. Now those guards are really good in this meta. I don't want to fireball them because they'll still be alive because of their shield. And I probably, at this point, I might want to save the fireball to just cycle out like I did last game, but this time a little bit more successfully. Try to cycle out fireballs and logs to kill their tower. I've only got about 40 seconds left, so I need to find a way to get some damage on that tower, or else it's going to be a drop, which, as I mentioned not too long ago, you know, is a pretty common scenario when you're playing siege decks like this. Oh, I got a lock on. I got a lock on. This is it. I'm going to win here. That's it. Alright, good game. Thank you, sir. Well played. See, it's nice when people are nice. You know, people jump to BMing, and half the time you don't know if somebody's being sarcastic. Like when they say good luck, are they saying, yeah, good luck beating me, you scrub? I don't know. Or maybe they're just actually giving you a good luck, a genuine like, hey, good luck, man. You know, this is a fun game. You know, we're about to go against each other. Let's have a good time rather than make it something, you know, super uncomfortable and like competitive and annoying and obnoxious. So I guess you kind of gotta take it with a grain of salt and decide how you want to. Let's stay positive, and let's assume that when people say things like good luck and good game that they actually mean it. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this Xbow deck showcase, and I will catch you next time. Have a good night.